Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Amy, and if you've been here before, I'm still Amy. So welcome to another one of Amy's awesome adventures. And this adventure is Christmas in July. Wait a minute, not Christmas. I'm Jewish, so this is Hanukkah in July, a little bit different. So first of all, I wanted to just say thank you so much to the creator of this collab, allowing me to participate in this Christmas in July / Hanukkah collab. I'm very excited about being a participant in this collab. And first of all, I know a lot of you may not know about, okay, my cameraman has got a smirk on his face. What's going on over there?
No, I just fixed the menorah, that's all.
Oh, okay, great. I thought there was a joke that I missed or something.
Not yet.
Okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, a lot of you don't know about the story of Hanukkah and why we celebrate Hanukkah. One of the biggest things that people ask me before I get into the reasons for Hanukkah, one of the biggest things that I always get asked is, why is Hanukkah different every year? Like this year, it starts December 7th, and it goes for 8 days and 8 nights. First of all, Jewish holidays always start at sundown on the first night. So this year it'll be sundown on December 7th. Now, the reason why it always changes is because the original day of Hanukkah first took place on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev. Now, first of all, the Jewish calendar, instead of having 12 months, it has 13 months. The days are divided according to the rising and the setting of the sun and the revelations of the moon. And that's why it's different every year, because it's according to the lunar calendar versus the Gregorian calendar, which is what we use, which is our 12-month calendar. So, wanted to explain that first. Now, forgive me for taking my glasses on and off. It's just I have my notes over here because even though I'm Jewish, there are still some little nuances that even I don't know.
I don't know half of it, and I'm Jewish too.
Alrighty. So first of all, the way that we celebrate Hanukkah now, with the gift giving, and when kids are little, because Hanukkah is 8 nighs, we give a present for every night, or at least they did in my family when I was a kid. And then as I got older, it started to get less and less. So as I got a little bit older, it went from 8 to 4, then from 4 to 2, then from 2 to 1, and now as an adult, we don't give to adults anymore.
Although I have to do an exception. I always ask you what you want for Hanukkah, and you tell me.
Right.
And I get it to you eventually, so it works out well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Barry and I do exchange something on the holidays with each other.
Complaints.
That's another holiday.
Oh,
okay. We're not going to go into tonight. Anyway, so back in the year 186 BCE, there was an Assyrian king by the name of Antiochus. And Antiochus is actually, it's a Hebrew, that's the English pronunciation of his Hebrew name. So forgive me if my pronunciation is a little off. But anyway, his name was Antiochus. And what happened was he put out a decree and he was the king of Syria, and he put out a decree that anybody who was Jewish could no longer practice any of their, any of their religion, really. And they had two choices: death or conversion, if they were caught. So there was a family whose last name was Maccabee, and the head of that family was Mattathias. And because Mattathias was too old to go out and fight against the Assyrians,
Syrians, not
Syrians, sorry, against the Syrians, he asked his son Judah to be the head of the army. And this army was actually all of Mattathias's family, which is kind of different at the time, but we're talking 186 BCE, so it was a little different. So after the fighting had occurred, now keep in mind that the Syrians had destroyed anything that represented Judaism. So all of the temples in Jerusalem were destroyed. Everything was just destroyed. So after the Maccabees defeated the Syrians, they went back into the main temple in Jerusalem, and we light a menorah now. But at the time, it was just a single lantern that was basically the light of God that was supposed to shine 24/7 and never go out. And at that time, it was run by oil versus candles. And when they were cleaning up and they put the light back up, they found a little vial of oil that was only supposed to last for 1 day and 1 night. But miraculously, that candle stayed aflame for 8 days and 8 nights, which is how long it takes to produce new oil for a lighted candle. So what they do in temples now, if you ever go into a Jewish temple, you'll see one single light that comes down in front of what we call the bima, which is where the Torahs are kept. And that light is the one that never goes on and off. But because this happened on the 25th day in the Hebrew month of Kislev, as I said earlier, that's when we celebrate Hanukkah. And back in the 1920s is when the gift giving started to happen. But before we had the gift giving, what we would do is this candelabra. It's called the menorah, and this candle holder in the middle here. And I'm sorry, I don't have candles, but it's hard to find candles in July for Hanukkah, unfortunately. It is what it is. So pretend that there's a candle right here in the middle. And what you do on every night of Hanukkah is you light a candle, and it's actually backwards, because Hebrew writing goes from left to right.
No, right to left.
Or right, it's the opposite. Yeah, sorry. It's the opposite of English.
Yeah,
So
right
it goes
to
from right to left. And that's the way that you light the menorah. So you use this candle in the middle, which is called the shamash. You take it out, and first night you light 1. The second night you light 2. The third night you light 3. And so on every night until the end of Hanukkah. Did you want to add something?
Well, Just the prayer that we say when we light the candles. I think that I don't know much Hebrew.
Right.
I'm one of these Jewish people who's Jewish.
Okay.
And the prayer is beautiful.
Okay. Well, I can say the prayer, except I want to tell you what we do with the prayer. Because this isn't Hanukkah, the word for God is Adonai. And it is Jewish belief that if you're not praying, if you're not in prayer, that you don't use that name. So instead of saying the word Adonai in the prayer, you say Adoshem.
Oh.
And Adoshem, if I remember, is just the one.
The one. Yeah.
So it's a representation. You're not saying God, you're saying the one. So the prayer is Baruch Atah Adoshem Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Hanukkah. And unfortunately, I don't have the translation in front of me, and so I don't want to, butcher the translation. But basically, what it means is it's a blessing over the candles. You're blessing the light. And also just to mention too, one of the other things that Judaism every Friday is a Friday night is our Sabbath or Shabbat, and if Hanukkah falls on Shabbat, and on a Friday, the one of the days is on a Friday night, which of course it will be because it's an 8-night holiday. You also have a second prayer, which is the same as the Hanukkah prayer, but instead of saying Shel Hanukkah, you say Shel Shabbat at the end. And on Friday night, you would do the Hanukkah prayer first and then the Shabbat prayer. One last thing I want to mention is that one of the things that before gift giving happened that people would do is that they would play a little game with a spinning top called a dreidel. And this is just one of the examples of the many dreidels that we have. I pulled this one out because it's easy to see the letters on there. And you have the first letter, which is Nes, which is a Nun. The second letter is a Gimel. The third, which is Gadol. The third letter is a Che, which is Chaya. And the last letter is a Shin, which is Sham. So the whole thing is Nes, Gadol, Chaya, Sham, which is a great miracle happened there. Now, anybody that's in Israel, right? If you get a dreidel that's in Israel, the H is the Shin, the Sham, is changed to a Peh, which is the word Po, which is here. Because Hanukkah started in Israel, in the temple. And I'm just going to move this over really quickly for a second and just show you what basically, and I'm not going to, do it on all four, but you spin the dreidel, and this is the first time I've done it on this table, so we'll see what happens. But you spin the dreidel, and in this case it landed on Shin, and kids would play with what's called gelt, which is money, and with the Shin, if it lands on the Shin, you have to put 2 in the pot. 2 of whatever you're playing with.
And now they use the chocolate coins.
Right. The chocolate coins that you see around the holidays, that's what they use. Or some people use peanuts or pretzels, or actually in some families, I know with my family when I was a kid, we actually used to use quarters. So It was kind of fun. So just to so you know the rules really quickly. If it lands on Gimel, you get everything in the pot. If it lands on Nun, nothing happens. You don't have to put in or take out. If it lands on Hay, you get half of what's in the pot. And if it lands on Shin, you have to put 2 in. So, and that was what, before the 1920s, that was what the kids were given because they used regular money. So that was what you got, whatever you ended up with after the dreidel game. So some people ended up with a lot, some people ended up with little, and some people ended up with bupkis, which means nothing in Yiddish. So
And they all ended up having gambling problems, but that's a different Oprah.
anyway, but the whole gift giving part of Hanukkah, because it's around Christmas time, in the 1920s, kids were saying, hey, all my friends are getting presents around this time of year. Why don't I? And so that's kind of how it switched over. And we just continue, we continue it now as a tradition, as a tradition, and it's a great, holiday. So thank you so much for letting me share a little bit of my family's Hanukkah traditions with you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a little bit about why we celebrate Hanukkah. And I wish you all a happy Hanukkah in July, or a happy Christmas in July, whatever you celebrate or whatever you don't celebrate. So again, thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful adventure. And remember, I love you all. And I'll be here the next time. So I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye for now.